What's up, guys? Welcome to the Disc Golf Show. Today is September 9th, 2025. This is episode 18 of the 2025 season. We welcome you back. Thank you for watching. This show is, obviously, Justin and Ken aren't here again today. But, we press on. So, this show is brought to you in part by our beloved local pro shop, Final Nine Sports. They have two locations, one in Orangevale, California, and one in Rockland, California. Those are both in the Northern California area, kind of near Sacramento. If you're in the area, check them out. And as always, go check out your local pro shops for your disc golf needs. Now, however, if you are unable to find what you are looking for at your local pro shop, if they are unable to get their hands on the goods that you want, you can go to our other sponsor, and that is Disc Golf Deals USA. You've probably seen them as a sponsor on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but they are also a partial sponsor of this podcast, and we love the support. Thank you so much to Disc Golf Deals USA. If you want to save 10%, who doesn't want to save money? Go check out our link, which is discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow, and you will save 10% off of your order. Some exclusions do apply, but 99% of the stuff on there, you can save 10%, so go check it out. Let's get right into it. There are a couple things that have popped up recently that have been addressed by some people, mainly Discraft. So if you don't know, Bob Julio, however you want to pronounce it, made a recent video about a disc stamp that was released that had an extra finger on the artwork. And it was brought to attention by, anybody out there who is into artwork and is a media type person or detail oriented when it comes to that type of stuff. If you create artwork, you're pretty on top of that. But somebody did note that there was an extra finger on some of the artwork. And Bob Julio ends up making a video. He's stating, he's not a fan of AI artwork, which personally I'm not either. I love creating artwork myself. And he said there was going to be a crackdown on that type of mistake or error. And it's not a bad thing to use AI. Personally, if I were to use it, I would use it for idea purposes and then obviously take it from there and then detail it myself or create it from scratch myself, but using that as a template kind of an idea and then put my own spin on it. However, he did notate that there were 6 full-time paid artists that they have at Discraft, as well as 10 to 12 contracted artists. So that's a massive staff, I think. I think it's super awesome that they aren't just dialed down to a couple people, because that way you get a variety of styles. And, one that works for somebody else doesn't work for another person. And hopefully there's something out there that somebody creates that somebody likes. So I totally get the process there. That does lead me to the level up, power up discs that they've released at the different events. And my only question, and I want to shout out Disc Golf Law, because I'm sure at some point they'll address this because he's on top of those things, is the idea that taking the mustache off Mario and Luigi, does that somehow protect them from any type of legal fallback? I don't know. I think it would be interesting to find out, because the character is the character. Yes, it's missing the mustache, which is I guess it's a very major part of that character. However, you know exactly who it is by looking at it and where they got that idea from. I love the idea personally, but I'm just curious as to if there are any repercussions coming from Nintendo or whatever company owns those copyrights or trademarks or anything like that. So I'll ask Disc Golf Law and see if he's in the process of addressing that. But what do you think? Do you think that they need to be careful with that? I know that there's been some issues prior with Latitude and their logo, and then I believe the Raptor logo when it first came out. The typeface was exactly the same as the Ford Raptor. Different things like that. Those things can pop up and cause problems down the road, but I'm not a lawyer, so I'll ask one. We did have an announcement from Kristen Lott that she made a post stating that her new bag is going to be coming out soon, if not already. It is going to be called the Latitude 64 Core Pro E3 backpack. Very cool backpack. If you like Latitude bags, I'm sure you'll like this one. If you want to support her, keep on the lookout for her signature bag. Also, there was a little bit of a post somebody made that I noticed that says that it looks like she may not be coming back for the Throw Pink event and any of the majors, the remaining events that are coming out. I know that she did make a post saying that she was intending on coming back for Throw Pink or Women's Throw Pink and the other events that are remaining, a couple of the majors. But I mean, if you know, let us know, because we tried to contact. We'll see if we get any response, and we'll update you as needed. But I mean, personally, I'd love to see her back prior to the end of the season. You know, she has some things that she's dealing with, and that's totally understandable. Nobody's perfect, and you're going to come across some things that cause issues with your process or with your mindset. And if those are too strong or too tough to deal with at the time, you do have to make those tough calls sometimes. So hopefully, we hope she comes out of it stronger for the next season if we don't see her through the end of this season. But, you know, shout out to Kristen Latt and still doing what she needs to do to have the right mindset moving forward, whatever that is. We did have the most recent event that just passed this last weekend, the Discraft's Great Lakes Open, otherwise known as DGLO. If you haven't watched, you know, there are no spoilers in sports for me. Like, if you didn't watch it live, you didn't watch it live. You had another Gannon sweep. So Missy Gannon took down FPO, and Gannon Burr comes back and takes down MPO. It's getting tougher and tougher to not consider him in the conversation of possibly being a GOAT of this time. Now with Paul coming back strong the previous event and at Idlewild and kind of saying, hey, you know, I'm not out of this. It's going to be interesting because we have playoffs and majors. We have playoffs and majors for the rest of this season. And, you know, majors are the ones I'm sure that Paul's really concentrating on. Every win's a win, and it's good for your confidence. But, you know, those ones are going to be the ones that probably he's dialing in on. And hopefully we see strong Paul Macbeth and pushing Gannon Burr right now, who's leading. I think he's got 9 Disc Golf Pro Tour wins this year. As of right now, he's got, I think, 12 or 14 total wins throughout the year. But, you know, got to give him his props for his play this year. It's been impressive. We did notice that. Oh, before I move on, I did want to comment. I've seen some ads popping up from outside sponsors for these Pro Tour events. And I did want to say give a shout out to First Form. Not because they have anything to do with us, but just because of the quality of ads that they had. And the ad I'm specifically talking about is the one like highlighting Barella as their athlete that they're highlighting for that ad. Obviously, he's disc golf, so it makes sense. But the production value of it, those are the type, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Those are the types of ads that I would like to see more of rather than just the homemade ones. Yeah, the homemade ones are fun. They give you that sense of family, kind of a more tight knit. I don't know. To me, I do like the quality, the higher quality of ads like the First Form. And I do hope that not only manufacturers or outside businesses as well, but even inside, like the smaller companies, yes, obviously there's a bigger budget. when you get a bigger business. But take some tips, make better quality commercials, because with some of the commercials that I've seen at these events, it tends to feel still a little too small when you see these. But they're appreciated nonetheless. I'm not trying to knock them down at all. I just like the progression of where the ads, just the ads on the side note, are going in disc golf. So big shout out to First Form and the AB ad that they did during D-Glow. It was really, really cool to see. Did want to note that European players are back over here, and not all of them, but there's a squad of them, a group of them, that said that they're going to be over here for the next 6 weeks or so. Niklas, you have Silva Sarnen, you got a few other players out there that have flown back over here and here for the next month and a half throughout the rest of the season, I believe. So it's good to see those guys able to be over here and compete, and it not just be a U.S. fest for the players that are contending for those wins. Big shout out to them for making that trick and that commitment to come over here for the final leg of the Pro Tour. Just today's ratings update day, and we got Gannon Burr finally hits that tie for Paul Macbeth's high player rating. So now we have two people that have hit that 1062 mark, and it's going to be interesting the way he's playing. If you're going just off of what you expect, we expect Burr to probably beat that by the end of the year. Can you say 100%? No. Does it look like a solid 75, 80? Yeah, it looks like he's probably going to be doing it this year. Records are made to be broken. Other podcasts have talked about this. How is it easier to hit those higher ratings because of the array of players and the quality of players that are out there? Has it altered the ability to push that ceiling higher? Yes, it has, obviously, but it's still nonetheless impressive. Like, that's insane. So being able to see that those records being pushed higher and higher is a good sign for the future, and I hope to see them constantly being pushed and broken as we move forward. Obviously, you're going to have some of those records that are tougher to break, but there are always going to be those more attainable records, and it's fun to see those broken, because then it's like, oh, it can still be done. So it's kind of like a push for those players to be like, hey, you know what? This is possible. So let's keep trying. So shout out to Gannon Burr for hitting that and tying that 1062 record that Paul set years ago. We did have an update also with Brody Smith. Now, he's recently, listen, whether you like Brody Smith or not, personally, I'm a fan. Not for different reasons, personally. One is he brings to light a lot of things that a lot of people don't want to say. And you have to have those discussions to make those changes. Another is he's not afraid to voice his opinion. And I like that, because then it brings conversation and eyes and ears to those topics that need to be discussed. The other thing is, is he good for the sport? Obviously, he's been good for the sport. He's brought a lot of eyes over with him when he came over back in 2020 or so, whatever, 2019. And more eyes is good for the sport. You can't knock that. For those of you, there's always going to be personalities that don't get along or you don't like, and that's understandable as well. I made a video just talking about this, about him, whether you like him or not. So if you want to check that out, it's further down in our list of videos, so you can go check it out. But he did mention that he was going to come back, try to make USDGC. Is it going to happen right now? It doesn't necessarily look like it. He's had some, he's in the area of age. He is higher up there for pro disc golfers. What is he capable of doing it? Yes, he is. He's an athlete, whether you like him or not. He has the capabilities of doing it. He's had injuries from Ultimate and stuff like that he's dealt with. But this current recent one that he had to drop out of D-Glow was a right hip injury. We hope that personally, I hope that he's able to push through it, or at least rest enough, because there was also another point that he had said that his wife had said he should commit to a full season for 2026. I think that would be great. If you're able to do it, why not? You find a different way to have a passion for the sport. People drop in and out of this sport all the time, and sometimes it's what you needed for that part of your life. And if disc golf can provide that for that period of your life, great. What does it affect anybody else that he plays or he doesn't play? It doesn't. Ultimately, if you look at it, if he's playing, it's bringing eyes to the sport, and that's a good thing. So personally, I hope to see him. If he's unable to compete in the rest of the events for this season, so be it. Do I hope to see him in 2026 and actually put some, maybe even if it's a final year for him to do it? Maybe he does well and it keeps him in. And if it doesn't, at least he can continue, hopefully, even if he doesn't play. Maybe he can continue with the podcasting and such, where he brings to light things that other people might not be willing to. I think it's a good option for him if he doesn't end up sticking to playing and being on the course. But anyways, guys, before we move on, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It's really appreciated. Every little like and share does help. So thank you very much. If you can, just go ahead and hit that subscribe and like button. And we will move on. I have a question. I try to come up with different questions for each show. This one is more specifically related to a previous topic that we just discussed, is how do you feel about special disc drops that they have at these different DGPT events? Now, normally, lately, it's been more so along the Discraft side at, Ledgestone and obviously D-Glow and Idlewild, whatnot, the ones that they kind of tailor to. But is that something that would encourage you, depending on the manufacturer that's doing those drops? Is that something that would encourage you and push you more to attend specific events? Because if so, it's a good tactic, right? If not, then you just miss out and you got to get it on the secondary market and pay the extra money. I think that I'm kind of split on it, because I can't get to every event. I can't get to hardly any of the events, right? And I'm sure you can't either. But it's kind of maybe those ones that could be a grail for you down the road. Maybe somebody buys it and holds on to it, value goes up, or buys it, sells it for a profit right out the gate. They buy it for $30, you buy it for $50, and then you save it. Hang it on your wall. And then down the road, maybe it's a $250 disc. Who knows? Market will only tell down in the future. But personally, like I said, my question, how do you feel about them having these specific disc drops solely for attendees at events? I think it's smart. I think it's good. Hopefully it gets more people to attend in person, because ultimately that kind of shows the support that each of those events have, and that reflects well on the sport for future sponsors for the Pro Tour and such. So let us know down below. What do you think? How do you feel about special disc drops at events, DGPT events? We'll move on to gear and equipment here. There weren't a ton, but there were a few. Some of these I am not going to try to pronounce, or if I do try to pronounce them, I'm going to slaughter them. Approved September 1. Oh, this segment, just to let you know, is brought to you by one of our sponsors. And again, that sponsor is Disc Golf Deals USA. 10% off your order. So if any of these look good and they carry them on there, you can get 10% off most of these. Use our link, discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow, and get that 10% off. And those discs would be approved September 1st. We had Innova, who actually, again, that discount not only works on discs, but it works on any product. So bags, baskets, any of the goods that they sell. We did have 2 targets that were released. One of them was from Innova Champion Discs, and that is the Disc Catcher Pro 28 Plus. And that is a new championship target. The link would be down below for all these. The other target was called the North Pole, and that is by Ron's Garase. Did I slaughter it? Did I not? Let me know. And that is another championship target. So we have 2 championship targets that were approved September 1st. And then we have a few discs, but a couple discs that are by a Chinese company, Sanqianpu, Sanqianpu. Those 2 discs are the Somersault Cloud and the Skyrocket. And in addition to that, we had Streamline discs, which is, again, if you don't know, part of the MVP group. And that was the Boost. So we have those 3 discs that were approved September 1st and September 8th. If you haven't heard of this company, just look them up on Temu or whatever. XCOM discs. Now, some people might knock them, but if you get their discs in your hand, you might be pleasantly surprised. We were when we got a few of them to try out. But XCOM discs had the Pegasus X and the Cancer S approved on September 8th. So again, like I said, not many. We only had 5 discs over the last couple weeks, but we did get a couple championship targets approved. So go check those out. And then as for other products, we always push you for shoes. Shoes are one of the most important items that you can get for your disc golf game. You need traction, you need support, you need comfortability, you need waterproofing, any of that stuff. There's a couple companies we like to push you towards, or not push you, but suggest, because they are big supporters of disc golf. One is Vessi Shoes. We do have an affiliate link down below. Check that out. They're waterproof, knitted, very, very comfortable. But if you're more into the zero style shoe, like, no, not as much angle to your foot, then you can go to Idios Sports, and they have a couple shoes out. The Syncrasy and the Brawler, I believe, is the high top. But both of those, they're waterproof, they're comfortable, lightweight. Those are all positive things for your game. Lightweight shoes, I'm a big fan of, and obviously waterproofing never hurts. So big shout out to those guys. Thank you again. If you want to get anything out of if you want to get anything with the discount, that 10% off, again, via discgolfdealsusa.com/discgolfshow. And thank you to them for their support. We'll move on to, we can't really do Ken's fantasy segment because Ken's not here, but we do only have playoff and majors left, basically. And we have another couple other events here that I did want to highlight. We have upcoming events September 12th to 14th, so this coming weekend. We have our friends up north, Canadian Championship. It is a DGPTQ series that is held in Port Hope, Ontario. So big shout out to our friends up north. And then also this weekend, by the Go Throw Tour, September 13th and 14th is the Failer Lake Classic, presented by Discraft and OTB Discs, and that is held in Beaver Springs, Pennsylvania. In addition to that, the following week, we have one of the playoffs, the first playoff of this year for the 2025 season. September 18th to 21st, the 2025 Discraft's Green Mountain Championship. That's held in Jeffersonville, Vermont. So get your Disc Golf Network subscription if you don't already have it, maybe just for that event if you like that event. And that's coming up again September 18th to 21st. Finally, still want to make note of this one because it's an amazing event, I think, put on by Paul Macbeth Foundation and UDisc collaboration. Event, I guess, is kind of like pushing it, but more of what am I trying to get at? It's the last day of summer, and they're trying to raise funds. Basically, the funds go towards installations, equipment, and education efforts in new locations, which is what the Paul Macbeth Foundation does. And you can get pledges for your disc golf play for September 20th. You can get flat donations. You can do it per hole or, per round, whatever it is that you want, whatever works best for you. UDisc and Paul Macbeth Foundation UDisc will be donating 10 cents for every round logged in their app on September 20th. Also, they did just notate or make a post. Paul Macbeth said, or Foundation, stated that they already hit, I think it's the $15,000 mark that they initially set. And so they already hit it. It's not even September 20th, which is awesome, which is super awesome. But what they did is, you know what? We've already hit it to this point. We're going to push it out. So we're going to try to hit 30. So hopefully they're going to be able to do that. I did subscribe to it, so hopefully I can get out and throw some plastic on one of our local courses here, or maybe multiple rounds to try to get some support. And they're also, another record that they're trying to break is, there was a record on UDisc that UDisc has of 116,000 rounds played for the single day. They're shooting for 120, 125,000 rounds. So maybe with everybody that's doing it, they'll be able to hit that mark. If you are and do join this to try to raise funds, you are in contention to win some prizes. And those prizes will either go to individual fundraisers, they'll go to clubs, and they will go to TDs of events. So maybe you can do that. All participants are going to be automatically entered into raffle for exclusive items, so you can check that out. If you do want to learn some more, go to, I believe it's throwformore.com, or you can check the YouTube video down below and see what they said about it. We'll move on here to mailbag. We do have a couple things that we like to go over in the mailbag. One is a community video. The community video that I wanted to highlight was a very small one that was a portion of the Disc Golf Answer Man, and it was just a clip that they posted, and it's how to get better at putting. It was, they'd taken questions from viewers, and one of the things that McCabe said initially right out the gate was, well, go check it out. I would say go check it out, because it basically suggests, initially, like, the person basically stated, I practice putt in my garage, right? I practice putt in my garage, but I'm not getting any better on the course. Well, he basically said, hey, practice out in the open. Maybe that helps you. So go check that video out really quick. He goes more in depth with it, obviously. And then the other thing too that we have is a product review. I did want to go over this product because they sent this to us a little while ago, and I haven't been able to get around to it. Different things come up in the way. But big shout out to NSH Custom Discs. So normally you have injection molding to make discs. These guys are more of a 3D printed process. And they actually have more than 19 approved molds, which they consider as styles. And why they call them styles is because you can actually order them. You can order standard or custom versions of these. A standard is you pick your weight, you receive a random color, whichever color that they end up using. No frills, you can customize it yourself, do what you want to the disc. The custom actually gives you up to 3 colors that you can ask to be used for that disc. You can change your logo in the center, or you can get foil stamps, etc. on those things. And I have a couple samples here. So first off is a little mini that they sent. Looks kind of like a tilt actually, but it's a little mini. You can see their logo right here. And that is kind of the thing that you would be able to change on a custom order. We also have this one, which is just kind of like a very flat top, but you can see again, the custom. This would probably be more along the lines of the standard that you would get. And surprisingly enough, when I looked at it, I thought it was going to be very, very hard. But it's not. It's very flexible. There's a bit of a texture to it, which isn't bad or good to me. Some of the edging on here is maybe slightly rough, but it's 3D printed. It's not going to be, it's going to be consistently made, but it's not going to be perfect, obviously. There's some things that maybe need to be addressed when you get it. But the other one, so for your custom, is basically kind of like this. So this is more of a driver that they have, right? And check this out. So this is a 2-color, maybe 3 colors, a dark and light. Well, it's probably 2-color. But this is actually in the actual plastic. And this one has this little track here. So this is a bird of prey. And I believe this is the Nexus. But big shout out to them. I was curious as to what this would be. Again, this is very flexible. And I'm curious as to how it will fly. Definitely got to get out to the field and throw these. But big shout out again. Go check them out. NSHcustomdiscs.com, and you can go through their styles or molds, and you can see if you want to try something like that. Obviously, with 3D printed, it's going to be very, very consistent for the molds. But yeah, go check them out. Let us know what you think about it. And that brings us to the end here, guys. Hopefully this hasn't cut out on me, which it has in the past. But if you are in the market for a new disc golf bag, check out Upper Park Disc Golf. You can use code Disc Golf Show to get 15% off your purchase. Go to Disc Golf Deals USA for your online disc golf needs. Get 10% off your purchase there with discgolfdealsusa.com/disc golf show. And then, as always, you go to your local pro shops. Support your local pro shops. Big shout out to Final Line Sports, again, 2 locations, Rockland and Orangeville here in Northern California. Big thanks to all of our sponsors and supporters. Big thanks to you guys for listening and watching our videos. And hopefully we can bring some more content to you soon outside of just these podcasts. Just depends on scheduling, guys. You know, we all have families, so it's tough. Obviously, you only get me today, so it's tough. Again, hit that subscribe, notification bell, future videos, hit that like button. And in disc golf, as in life, for Justin, Ken, and myself, aim high and let it fly, guys. Bye.